Hello, everyone. Welcome to And Moving Forward blog. My name is Chanel with Chapter 28 Beauty, and this is
Ronai with Anomaly, the agency.
blog number 19. Woo,
Yes.
woo, woo, woo. We're moving along, guys. And today we'll be going over Ronai and Anomaly, the agency, as a business. Give you guys a little bit more insight on what public relationship what public relation is. Jesus Christ. And how small businesses, big businesses can benefit from it, how she got to where she's at, a lot about Anomaly, the agency. Basically, that's what today is focusing on. So Ronai, just starting off, what is public relations?
Yes. So basically public relations. So the official definition, I'm going to read it to you. So it's the practice of managing the release and spread of information between an individual or an organization and the public. So very plainly put, I am the person, or your PR team, whether you're a small business or a large business, your PR team basically is the one who creates a positive image and make sure that your clients, your audience, the people that are watching you, that you're interested in doing work with, see you in a positive light. You know what I mean? They understand about the company. And, if things do go bad, realistically with bigger companies, more than likely, there are a lot of issues that you run into. And so the PR person is kind of the frontline person that puts together a plan, you know what I mean, in case things happen, and how you ultimately bounce back from that. I feel like whenever I say this, everybody immediately is like, oh, scandal, and yes, I don't watch the show.
I don't know what that is.
Show. But apparently it's with Kerry Washington, I think. And I think she does PR for like a president or something like that. And the show is basically about all of the scandals that take place and how they spin everything. So ultimately, yes, that is what PR can be. That's not what I'm doing. I'm really just here to let people, inform people about what you or your company does, how you're giving back, why you matter, and why they should purchase from you ultimately. And so, plainly put, public relations, the very common one is, social media, content creation, but it's even more than that. And, if you're trying to put an event together, to engage in your community or anything like that, that's where I come in, and I reach out to help you get everything set up and, order the items and reach out to the people and contact the press, things of that nature. So that's kind of the person that I am. I guess I would be the go-to person ultimately for those things. And then even for talent management, just trying to get your gigs booked and, creating media kits and one-sheeters and things that you really need, whether you're a business person or an artist, whatever your flavor is, just having a one-sheeter with information that you can just hand to people, potential event coordinators and things of that nature, and they understand who you are, what you do, and why you matter, basically, why they need to consider you anywhere. Right. And so, yeah, that's really what I do. And my focus really is tiny and small businesses, mainly just because I personally, with my day jobs, I love small businesses. I've been working in a lot of small businesses over the past few years. And it's just, I just have a crazy respect. You know what I mean? You're an underdog, you're starting off, and it's just amazing to see how a company starts and with the potential of what it could be. And, a lot of times they blossom into something amazing, and to be a part of that, is something that I really take pride in. And so, yeah, that's what public relations is.
Yeah, that is a very good definition, and I love the way you explain that, because it seems like something that is, I mean, for me as a tiny business, I know I need public relations. I know I need PR at this point. We've already discussed that. But other people with businesses, they feel like they can do everything, and I was one of those people. I felt like I can post on social media. I can come up with this. I can do that. And you're stretching yourself almost way too thin, and you're not able to focus in areas that are really going to improve your business. You end up hurting yourself in the end, because you've just gone too long while stretching yourself too thin. and miss out on a lot of opportunities. So for you small businesses out there who you feel like you're at a point where you don't know what to do, where to go, how to make your business any better, obviously you need to look into your public relations and somebody who can start working on, what works best for your company, figuring that out for you. And that is Ronai. That's what she does.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate that. And not to cut you off, but I think, the main thing with public relations, just to kind of add to what you said, it's one of those things where, especially for tiny and small businesses, a lot of times you think about that, like, oh, bringing in an agency to help you with stuff, and that costs money, you know what I mean? And it scares them away because it's like, I can't afford that, and it's like the real benefit is you do have more time to focus on what's actually important to you.
Right.
I have no problem saying that not everybody needs a PR person. If you have a team of people that work for you, that are willing to take on those extra activities and that can really help you, and if you have the ability to do it yourself, that's a beautiful thing. I know I have worked with clients in the past who had to take a step back and kind of do things on their own, and that's fine. That's definitely very common, whether you're a small business or a Fortune 500 company. It really just depends. But like Chanel said, when you're in a position where you feel like you've done everything that you can do to promote your business or to promote yourself, and you need even just another voice, another unbiased opinion, that is really where the PR agency or your PR consultant comes into play, because they're speaking to you from a perspective that could help you a lot. A lot of times companies will make decisions that reflect very poorly on them, and then it ends up biting them in the ass at the end of the day. And so where a person comes in is, no, don't say that, you know what I mean, or here, we put this together for you, say this instead. And that is a big part of what PR entails as well, is just making sure that it's not always what you say, it's how you're saying it. And so we got to make sure that while your beliefs are this way, you can't offend everybody, and it's tough, especially right now in the climate that we live in. Like, you can't say anything. And I feel like now more than ever is a very important time, if you haven't already, as a small business, to reach out to a PR consultant, reach out to me or whoever you feel comfortable with, if you know somebody, and really ask for that advice as far as, what to do from the marketing perspective, and how to go about promoting your business without coming off too salesy during this huge pandemic. Things like that. That's literally what we're here for.
Right. So what got you to this point of, I mean, we did talk about this in a prior blog, but like, what got you here? Like, PR is it, that's what you want to do. You want to work. You obviously said you have a love for tiny businesses. You respect them, but what got you here to PR, to the PR standpoint?
Yeah. So it was crazy because when before I started my bachelor's degree, I was kind of just looking into things I wanted to do. I know I didn't really want to do what was common. I didn't want to be a nurse. I just didn't want to do, that kinds of things. I didn't want to study business because it just didn't seem like me wholly, you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't feel right for me at the time. And I came across communication because I love to communicate. And I feel like that's something that was always in me, and something that really just stuck with me throughout life in general. And so when I came across this, I looked at the communications tab on the school site, and then I looked at public relations, and I was just like, oh, this seems like really interesting. And the more I read into it, I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I like being behind the scenes. And that's the thing, is like, to be able to be in control of certain aspects of this, what's going on, whether it's the event or, things with the company, but also being behind the scenes, that really intrigued me. I didn't want to be on the front line all the time or anything like that. So when I read into it, it was just like, this sounds perfect. And I've had the great opportunity of still feeling like that years after, because what you find a lot of times when you go for your degree afterwards, is like, you either don't do anything within that degree, or you totally just want nothing to do with it, and it's just a degree. And it never wavered. Like, I never had a point where I was like, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? Like, I've never felt like that. Like, it's always been something like, this is great. Maybe, I think if anything changed, it was maybe like the type of company I wanted to work for, or the type of business I wanted to be. And that was another thing. Like, I kind of always envisioned me having some sort of like business. And again, not sure what it was. I just was kind of like, this could really be something.
Right.
And so when I got into my master's, I definitely felt like that, and that was more on the digital media side. So once I really started studying that, and I had the opportunity of going into my internship, which Medley Inc. I always shout them out. Major shout out to Ashley Small, Maheda Sapone. They are a small minority-owned, business-owned, woman-owned agency for nonprofits in Houston. And I came across them for my internship, and hands down was like the best
Wow.
4 months of my life. Hands down, like I credit them for really challenging me in the best way. The fact that it was for nonprofits just was so amazing to me. Just seeing the beautiful things that, they were able to do for these companies that don't have the same money as any type of business. You know what I mean? Like they're really just like, what can I do here? And so I just loved it. I loved the CEO's like just mindset and perspective and how she ran her business. And I saw myself doing that. And I just loved her work ethic, and I loved my associates' work ethic. And they just were really great mentors for me. And that really solidified it. Like I really just felt like I want to do this. Like I love the fact that we were in this small office and it was women and it was people of color, and we're coming together and we're just building greatness for other people. You know what I mean? And we're putting events together, and the news is there, and we're just like, it was great. It was great. And just being able to talk to people and gain perspective in that way too. It was just like, yeah, I want to do this. How I'm going to do this? What is going to set me apart? Those were the things I started thinking about. And then, but the reality of going to college is it doesn't guarantee that you'll land a job at a top PR agency in the city of your choice. That's not it. And anybody who goes to school or is going to school either knows that or should absolutely know that. And so coming out of my master's, I had like a little position that allowed me to do some PR work, but it just wasn't in an industry that I related to at all. And so I kind of just felt like, I don't know. And then even before that, I was going to work full time and I was going to school full time. And my day job, had nothing to do with what I was doing, what I was going to school for. It was just a job. My main thing was being able to pay my bills, because at that point I had lived in Houston and I was, I was living on my own. I really didn't have family out there. Luckily, my family was super supportive, or as supportive as they could be, living across the country. But basically I had to secure my bag to pay these bills and to do these things. And so again, like I felt like because of that, I wish I would have been able to do more internships. And I felt like I couldn't at that point, because my schedule already, the only reason I was able to do this internship is because I think I actually had quit my job of 2 years at that time, right before my internship started. And I remember having a conversation, and I was like, you know what? I have money saved up. I'm just going to be as frugal as possible. And I'm not even going to apply for a job. I'm just going to do this internship, which was not paid. And I was like, I'm just going to make this work. Like, I'm going to just do what I got to do. And luckily, and not everybody can do that. And I understand that it's not always realistic. But if you have a dream and you're trying to see it through, especially because this was required, like I had to do this to get my master's. So I was like, I can't not do this. So I just went with it. And I worked there full time for a couple of months, even to the point where and like even to the point where the CEO hired me on as a contractor for a little bit until I transitioned into another position that she helped me get, and granted, again, I realized a little down the line with the other position, it really just wasn't a good fit for me. It made me realize a lot of things about where I wanted to go with, whether it was with my own business or just working for somebody else in general. And so again, a part of that struggle coming out of school, or even not coming out of school, but just finding a position where you feel like you feel good going to it every day. You feel like what you're doing is really making a difference, not just for the company, but for you in general, for your own personal growth. And you feel like you're being respected by the company. I feel like that was the hardest thing, is like once you get to know a lot of these companies, whether they're small or not, it's just kind of like, people get to a point where they're just like, I got to do for me. And they focus less on doing for employees. And it's a turnoff. I mean, everybody knows that feeling. We've all been in that position at one point or another. And so I just started feeling like that more and more. And I'm just like, first of all, I don't want to feel like I'm constantly like quitting a job or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to feel like that. And so, but it's just like you get tired of it. And like again, in those thoughts, I'm just like, what do I need to be doing here? Like what am I actually doing? What am I trying to work towards? Like my whole thing has been I want to plant roots with a company, you know what I mean? Whatever. Like, and so when I moved to now, granted, I was in a position where right before I left Houston, I actually had to move, and I actually really enjoyed the job that I was in. They actually even brought me on to do some other things, including social media, and so I loved the job, but I was in a position where I had to go based on like my personal situation. So I ended up having to leave. I moved to Colorado, and I had a position. I landed the job before I even got to Colorado.
Which is
Again, it
amazing.
was a cool experience, but it was had nothing to do with what I went to school for. Again, so I'm just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? You know what I mean? And then you start to feel, you get that feeling of I'm just working to pay bills. I'm just working to work, and this doesn't feel good. And I'm not this type of person. And I just want to be in an environment where I don't feel like I hate myself all day. You know what I mean? Like you just get so tired of that. And
Right.
like for real, like you by the time you get home, you got an attitude for the rest of the night. And
Right.
then not only that, but you've been working all day for the man, you come home and you have no energy to work on your own stuff. And
Right.
I hated that too. So right before I left Colorado, I was there for a little while, but then the first company I worked for, they laid me off. And then so that was a different experience. I've never been laid off before. So I was like, this is wild. This is crazy. It was scary. It was just so many different things. And then I landed my job, with my previous company before I came back to Pennsylvania. And I was doing HR and marketing with them. So it was a great position.
Yeah.
But living in an economy where everything is super expensive, like it just was totally different coming from Houston to Colorado and stuff. So again, just soul searching, soul searching, soul searching. And if you haven't done that yet, like when you get to that point where everything in you is telling you like something's not right, that it's time to soul search, like for real. It's really time for you to gut check yourself, have a conversation with yourself where you're just like, what am I doing? Why am I
Right.
doing it? How is this serving a purpose in my life? Is it making me miserable? Is it benefiting me in any other way besides just making money so I can pay my bills?
Right.
Once you start answering those questions, it changes the game. It really changes the game. And so with that last company, I really saw their company morale in general. And I was like, I need to work for myself. I just, I get that people grow and they change, and I don't want that for anybody, and that's their own thing, whatever. But it just was like, I got to do this. I don't know how, I don't know what to start with.
And
It's one of those
I
things.
was so happy. I was
Yes,
so happy
yes,
when you told me. Mind you, she had a whole website up and I didn't even know because she wanted to make sure it was tweaked and all that and it was right. I need to know when
yes,
you start typing in your domain and you're trying to search to see if that is available. I need to know these things.
yeah. So, and it was one of those things, and I was really just like, okay, because I felt like for years at that point that I had been telling myself I want to do this, but I had made so many excuses, and I had gotten to my head so much to the point that nothing came from it. So when I finally was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it, see what happens, and I'm just like doing it, and I felt good about just doing it, and I hadn't told anybody at that point. And then when I did tell you, and you were just like, what? Like, come on, like, you're always coming at me and stuff. Um, in the best way possible, let's be clear.
Yeah.
But but yeah, and it just clicked, and I felt like, when I moved to Pennsylvania, even now currently my struggle has been finding even like a good part-time job, a good full-time job. And it's like I have a resume and it's filled with experience, and nothing is coming. And like I tell Chanel all the time, like it's a sign, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And so that's why I was just like, you know what, let me just embody this entire thing right now
Yeah.
and just go and just trust the process.
That is one of the things that we were just talking about prior to us recording. Because I think everybody, especially if you're an entrepreneur, your brain, your mind is always going, going,
Yes.
going, going, going. Like, of course, as an entrepreneur, you want to have, and coming from a 9 to 5 or a job, you want to have that stability, that security of finances in order to be comfortable thinking about what you're going to do for your business. but sometimes it just does not work out that way. And both of us go through the same thing all the time. It's not
Right.
there. I mean, I love what I do and I'm embodied in it and I'm engulfed in all of these great opportunities that I make for myself. But you do have somewhat anxiety of, oh my God, but wonder if I don't make, enough to pay my sweet rent, or wonder if I don't, you
Right.
know, wonder if I exhaust all my funds, wonder if my savings is depleted. Like, you do get worried about that. And when you start to see the numbers, it's all numbers. It's all numbers. So when you start to see
Yeah.
numbers move around, it's just like, so I get it 100%, but I'm trying to live in this moment. And I was just telling Ronai, like, just, there's a reason why things are not happening the way we want them to happen, because we're not
Exactly.
focused on what we need to focus on. We're just not.
Right.
We're not focused on what, because when you're focused, shit, it starts happening. Like, it
Yeah.
really does. Like, and
Yeah.
that's just the most basic way to put it. Like, when you focus on something, you start to see it bloom. You know what I mean? And you water that
Absolutely.
plant, you start to see it grow. So, um, what is next for Anomaly, the agency? Like, as far as where you are now, and I guess where you are now to where you want to be in the next year. Let's talk year. Let's not shoot 5 out there, but let's talk in the next year. Like, where do you see Anomaly, the agency?
Yeah. So, well, to start off, first of all, I chose the name Anomaly because the definition is deviating from the norm, which I feel like that's me. In general, I'm not normal. I'm not traditional. I'm just, I deviate, from the norm completely. So, and that word, it's one of my favorite words. So when I thought about it, and I'm like, this is like very true to who I am as a person. And then it just also shines light on like how I just want to move forward with businesses, especially small businesses, tiny and small businesses. That's my niche. That's where I really want to focus, because I want to get you to a point where you can deviate from your norm and start doing things a little differently, so that you can really help your business grow. Like, that's it. Step out of your comfort zone. And that's what this is kind of all about. And so, you know, right now we're young and we're fresh and we're hungry. You know what I mean? And that's really where I'm at. So very plainly put, to be very honest and upfront and raw, it's just me. It's really just me right now. So I'm hoping, my main thing is, I've been able to land clients, and it's very exciting. And it's also causing a little anxiety because, again, it's just me, and that's what happens. I'm not even considered a small business because it is literally just me. At this point, I'm just self-employed. Um, and right now it's just, yeah, laying the blueprint down. I have, just so many goals and so many things I want this to come with this. But yeah, I've just been creating a name, you know what I mean? Creating an understanding. That was my main reason for wanting to do this blog in particular, to help you guys understand. I feel a common question that I get is, well, what exactly do you do? And I get it, because public relations is everywhere, but like, people have no idea that there is a name for that, and so a lot of what I do is, and then it's like the main thing that people think is like, oh, social media. So that's a lot of where I'm at right now too. I get a lot of, oh, social media, content creation. I put together content calendars, um, obviously doing research, following trends, based on the industry, things of that nature. But in the next year, in the near future, of course, being able to be in a position where I can land more clients and feel very comfortable with that. I would love to have at least one more person on my team, to focus on certain things while I focus on other things. One of the main things that we talked about was like stretching yourself too thin and trying to do everything by yourself. That's not real. You know what I mean? And I was just watching something the other day where they were saying that, your squad is everything, the people you surround yourself with, because, accountability and things of that nature. And also what comes with that too is like, you reach a point where you have to understand that you can't do it all on your own. You want to, and you might come very close to doing it, but you can't. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have to build these partnerships, and you're gonna have to find different ways of making things happen. And so for me, the next year is just, I want my business, like everybody else wants their business to boom, you know, and I just want, you know, first of all, to make a name for myself, for myself and for the company, for people to have a genuine understanding and to be able to come to me for any advice or anything that they might need surrounding PR and things that they need help with. You know, that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, just being a household name, you know, not even just for the city, you know, regardless of where I'm at, anybody just being able to reach out to me and feeling comfortable with what I have to say. Um, yeah, and I think that's mainly it. You know, just adding to my team, of course, growing exponentially if I can. You know, that would be ideal to just be able to blow up, have a full blown brick and mortar somewhere.
Right.
But
That'd be so.
you know, right, you know,
But it's
so
coming,
but
though. But it's coming. It's coming.
yeah,
Honestly, like again, as long as we allow ourselves to focus on first off the now, focus on what's happening now, because we planted
right,
a lot of seeds weeks and months ago, right? Like we have to water these seeds, and
right,
I think there's so many phases in this. There, I mean, there's definitely phases in being a business owner, but like it's one thing where you're sitting there, we're writing things down, you know, we're brainstorming. Then we move on to actually making moves, making orders, and things of that nature.
right.
And then getting to this point, I think now we're at a point where it's like produce. Like we have
Yeah,
to give it all
exactly.
that we have, and we're not able to go back to the, like there's nothing to go back to the drawing board for.
Right,
We're in it. We're doing the work here. So that's something that I'm not used to per se. Like I'm always used to planning something and having so many different avenues. And then, you know, I had a team of people who I could, you know, have somebody do this, somebody do that. But when you're doing it by yourself, you are now that person. You planned it. Now you got to go out and make it work. You know what I'm
right.
saying? You got to go see it through. So I think that, especially you having a brick and mortar, that is coming. That's going to come faster than you think. I think there's a lot of people who actually are interested in public relations and don't even know it yet because they don't
Right,
know what it is.
right.
So it is my goal to like you said with the vlog, spread the word on what these um careers are embodied. Like there's
Yeah,
a lot of people I think would be great at this. And while we're sitting here looking over the doctor, looking for the lawyer, looking for, there's a business everywhere. Like
right.
this is a much needed, this is a necessity when it comes
Yeah,
to especially small businesses where you don't have no
yeah,
type of backing, you have no footprint. You need somebody to put you on the map, and that is public relations. So yeah.
for sure. No, yeah, and like even just to add to that, you know, I was speaking to my client yesterday, and we were talking about this because you know they're up and coming as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's so important. You know, over these past couple of months, we've had so many conversations about supporting small businesses, and you know, you're starting to see it so much more. Being advertised more. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're seeing it all over social media, and that's not for no reason. You know what I mean? I mean, this is literally, if there's anything we can do right now to support each other, it's literally this. You know what I mean? Support these small businesses. And, you know, it's scary because when you think small business, you think not enough, you're not legit or not enough resources or not something. You know, you want the big and the extreme, but you either one can't afford it or you can't get a hold of it. That's it. You know what I mean? You're not there yet. And so don't overlook any small business that, you know, if you have, you know, any type of doubts, you know, do your research, ask questions, ask the necessary questions. You know, by no means does any of us have, you know, we none of us have all of the answers, and that just goes without saying. But I think it's just the amount of integrity that you hold within the company, within yourself, and you know, responsibility and organization and things of that nature. And you're really going to learn that about people around you. Um, and yeah, and again, like with the public relations thing, like I agree wholeheartedly. I think there's so many people, and even I've worked with people that they're so like not used to what I'm supposed to be doing. Like people don't even know that, like, okay, this is what I would do. You know what I mean? Like I would actually be the one doing that. You know what I mean? And they're just like, oh, and it's like it's literally uncomfortable for some people to the point where like we had those discussions and we're like, you know what, maybe this is not where you're at right now, and that is okay. Like there's not a bad thing, and that's why you have to do this research, and that's why you have to have these conversations and talk more and get an understanding of what my purpose is, what your purpose is, like so that you said you could focus on what's more important in your business.
That was like legit an issue for me, not an issue because I don't have an issue stepping back. And by no means do I have an issue letting anybody,
Right.
Put their paws in here.
Right.
But just like even doing this vlog with Ronai and knowing what she does for this company, knowing what she does for that company and this client and that client, like I still don't know all of what she does. Like
Right.
now as a partner, I will know and I will see, but like it's very broad, like
Yeah.
you really, I feel like you can find a niche inside of PR and stick to it if you
Yeah.
like with any, with most industries, but like I'm really excited just to see how far she can take what she's mastered,
Right.
and went to school for and done research and put all that hard work and sweat, tears, whatever into like, and I'm ready for her to really just see it bloom. You know what I mean? And this is the time. It's now. Like the time is now. It's now.
Right. No, and that's how I feel. And I appreciate that. And that's why I said, like, I feel like over the past week, like the things that have been happening in my personal life and the conversations that I've been having is just kind of like everything is just so in tune with my mindset, and it's crazy. And let's be clear, it starts to become very scary when things work out one way or another. Like it's very scary. My whole thing with the universe is everything that I have asked for has come to me. But let's be clear, it's never going to come in the way you expect it to come. And that's the scary part. And
Yeah.
it's crazy. And
Yeah.
I think about that so much. Like every time something happens, I'm like, you know what? I asked for this. That's so wild that
Right.
I asked, and it just, I whatever you believe in. I'm very much a universe person, and I feel like the universe has proven to me time and time, even just over the past year, the past 2 years, that like, yeah, remember when you asked for this? Well, look, this is how you got it. You know what I mean?
Wild that she said that because I swear to you, same. Everything I've
Yes.
asked for, I've gotten. Like, so I really have nothing to complain about in life. Like, I really have nothing to complain about because once you understand, like, of course, I'm a universe person as well, which is why we just blend the way we do. But once you understand the way life works and the cycle of life and the circle of life and how, what you have control of and what you don't have control over. And, a lot of people say, you got to put it out into the universe, put it out into the universe. That is real. Like the whole point of you speaking it out of your mouth is so that you can make it real to yourself first. And then speaking it to somebody else puts it in perspective and maybe then they can network and get you to where you need to be. That's the whole point of speaking it into the universe. So, even if you're just sitting there by yourself and you're talking out loud, it's almost like writing on a notepad. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't ever speak, I can think a million things in my head, but if I try to do it without writing it down or talking about it to somebody, it's not going to get done right. And I'm going to get to a point where I'm like, it sounded so good in my head. Like, why is this not working? Or does this look right? Because you have to make sure the logistics of getting to the point you're trying to get to is right.
Yeah.
There's a way, to get to point A from point A to point B. So, yeah, man, like I think that's a beautiful thing though, to really, get what you ask for. Like that says you're putting in the work that you need to put in.
Right. And it's just, like I said, it's just been something for me. And, honestly and truly, like I've mentioned this before, my motto and the thing that I really stand by, build and be great, and that's just really been my driving force every day, even when I have days where I don't do anything at all based on my business. And I'm just like, yo, it's a conversation. You know what I mean? Like, what did I spent my day working for everybody else but myself. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating and you're trying to build and be great, in every way, shape, or form, and so it's just wild. Like I said, the universe thing and just how everything has happened over the past couple of years, it's just so crazy. And it's, and the time is now. Now I'm here and I'm at this point where it's like, okay,
but now,
like I'm at the edge of the cliff. And I'm like, and what's crazy is like I said, having people that have believed in me enough to give me this opportunity too. You know what I mean? Like this is happening, but it's so surreal and it's so just like, I don't want to ruin it. And I don't, like the thoughts that you have, just being, I think the entrepreneurial mindset is just something wild. And like for me, it was really a matter of dwindling it down to what I want to do, because I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this. But again, the book that I have mentioned, the one thing, and it's just like, what is the one thing that I have to do right now so that everything else is easy or unnecessary? Like, literally, by doing this one thing, it's going to make everything else a smooth process. And then it's going to get you to this thing that you want to do and this thing that you want to do. And so that's really just, I've been trying to just train my mind, and to really end things, in this conversation, 3 things that I really want, us and just anybody who's watching to focus on from now on. Mastering your craft. Again, you're never too young or too old or too much of anything to continue to learn. You have to be teachable. We talk about that all the time. You have to be able to handle criticism. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to lose, and that, for a lot of people, it's hard to hear that. It's hard to experience that. It's hard. And I get it, but you have to trust that process. You messed up because you needed to be humbled, quite frankly. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have all of the answers. You don't have it all together. So mastering your craft, being open to making excuses. I think for a while it was really hard for me to accept that. I wanted to try to be the best, you know what I mean, at whatever I was doing.
Okay, being open to what?
Criticism, and just, like, open to learning, like just being teachable.
Okay.
But now it's like I'll make a mistake and I'm just like, yeah, I get on myself because I feel like I'm my toughest critic naturally. But I'm also just like, okay, so what did you just learn from this? Like, you clearly don't have it all together. You need to either change your approach, or you just need to pay more attention, or you need to do this, and these are conversations that I have with myself. So number 1, mastering your craft. Number 2, consistency. Obviously being consistent, every day, whether it's for 30 minutes, 30 hours, whatever you're doing, however much time you can put into something, be consistent with it. Like I said, even if you just sit there one day and don't do anything at all, but at the end of the night, you're like, let me just write something down. You know what I mean? Or let me read something that has something to do with my business or me or what I want to do. Being consistent and just going with the flow and not worrying about the turn up or, things that don't matter. And then accountability is the third one. Accountability, holding yourself accountable. One thing that makes a great leader is, you're responsible for even the things that aren't your fault. And holding yourself accountable and, not necessarily beating yourself up. Again, that goes back to, part of the mastering plan. And it's just really just, you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to be able to look at yourself and be like, nah, you said you were going to do this today. Like, do this today. You know what I mean? Like, when you're coming home from work or whatever you're doing, you had a long day. You don't feel like doing anything. That's when you're supposed to do it. That when you feel like, you know what, I don't want to do this. That's exactly
really
what you're supposed to
that
do
is
the
really
day.
when.
Yeah, because and it's crazy. And like, granted, there might be some times where you're literally like one eye open. You cannot, like, you can't even form thoughts in your mind. All right, go to sleep. Like, go ahead. You do need rest. This is a big part of it too. But wake up earlier than you usually do and work on it. You know what I mean? I honestly, the prime example of last night was the same thing. I had a long day. I was just running around all day. Got home really late, later than I wanted to. And I had something to work on for a client, and I was just like, I had my laptop out and everything, and I was just like, I'm not going to be able to put my best into this right now. Like, I feel it. I went to bed, woke up early, started my routine early, and naturally I would come and take a nap before I go to my day job. I didn't, you know what I mean? I stayed up, worked on stuff,
Right.
got a little nap in a little later. But, the point is, it's like, I had to hold myself accountable at that moment. And I was like, you have to do this right now, because you're going to come home, you have to record, and then you're not going to feel like doing it again. And we don't want that, because now you're just procrastinating, and that's not really true to who you are. So let's get this done. And it's a lot harder doing things when it's just for you, because you're not working for somebody else in the sense of, oh, you have a deadline to meet. This is going to cost you your paycheck. You're going to get fired. It's difficult. It is very difficult being the owner of your own business, because you are the only person that can hold you accountable for it. You're not going to get fired. You know what I mean? Quite frankly, all that's really going to happen is you're not going to glow up. You know what I mean? Which is a major loss. Let's be clear. But it sounds simple when it's just you. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I'll be all right. You know, whatever. No, we have to stay on it. We have to stay on it. And again, like these are three things that I've been thinking so hard about. And if I can give you anything from any of these blogs, I think that would be the three things for me. It's just mastery, accountability, clarity, or consistency rather, and just and hold on to that and continue to drive all three of those things as hard as you possibly can, even on your off days. It may sound cliche, but like that's it. Like
knowing that there's no off days. That's the thing. There is no off days.
Right. That is literally it. Like, and it's so crazy. And again, you get to a point where, like, even now, like planning like trips and stuff like that. Like, I always have a thought in my mind where, like, okay, but once you come back, you have to do this, or like, what can you do while you're there, or what is gonna come. I'm a reflector, so when I'm going, I'm very much still thinking about what am I doing. Right. Is what I'm doing now serving any purpose in my life? Like I'm thinking about those things constantly. And sometimes your thought really is enough, you know what I mean? But you really do have to get to a point where you can't just dream, like you actually have to put this into motion. And I feel like we all have reached a point, wherever you're at right now, yeah, you got to get out of your dream. You got to wake up. You know what I mean? You got to do this. This is it. This is the time. For real, because you could sit in that dream forever. You could be all Inception up in that dream. Like for real. Like y'all seen Inception, you saw what happened. We couldn't even decipher the dream from the reality anymore. We don't even know what happened at the end. Like
that. I don't even be watching movies. I don't even be looking at stuff.
No, because I rewatched it recently and I'm just like, and Leonardo DiCaprio, like he knows how to do the damn thing. So I'm just like, you are just killing it right now. And I'm in my mind, I'm just like, this is so true to reality, but this is really it. Like, you really don't know. At the end of that movie, you have no idea if he is still in his dream or if he is in his own reality. You don't know. And that's kind of true. That's like literally perfect to where you're at right now. I know you're at it, people listening, people watching, you're at the same point that I'm at, Chanel's at, like, it's time. You know what I mean? Like we have these thoughts, we have these ideas, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be doing it. Like, yes, finances play a major part, but you have your ways of going around it. You know what I mean? There's things that you can do to build yourself up before it gets to a point where, all right, you got to invest crazy money. There's ways to go about that. And we've proven that to ourselves one way or another. It's the same thing as like, how am I going to do this or how am I going to do that? Where there's a will, there's a way. We have all found ways to support ourselves when we really thought we weren't going to. Something always ends up coming from it. So this is no different. And this is something major. This is a long-term investment. This is your legacy. This is something that your kids get to live off of at the end of the day. This is literally what these rappers and everybody talk about on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Like, this is it. So, but yeah. So in short, aside from that, I would love for anybody who has questions, concerns, is interested, for sure, like reach out to me. I'm all about it, no matter what it is. I love talking about this. I find that a lot when I talk about it, I feel like I'm really in my element. And it honestly, sometimes I'm just like, wow, you really like kind of know what you're talking about. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ.
Right. Oh, right. You know what I mean? Like, it's really just, wow, like you really do this. Like,
yeah. No,
but no, seriously, like,
that was
like
good. I think you should definitely leave this vlog knowing a little bit more, first off, about public relations and where you stand with that, how well you do with public relations, or if you need that help, you need that assistance. And then obviously you know who you can contact for that. And if you're not at that place yet, you know what to look forward to, because it's gonna come. Right. It's gonna happen. So just get prepared, get ready for that.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
Well, Anomaly, the agency.
Right. Well, yes, I'm Ronai with Anomaly, the agency.
And I'm Chanel, a chapter 28 Beauty. And